Agriculture Minister announces sectoral plans. Push for legal backing of director's body. And tougher penalties needed for child rapists and murderers.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thank you for joining me for Thursday's news. Minister for Agriculture and Livestock Benny Allen announced the department's first 100 days plan. Agriculture and all commodity boards and agencies are expected to bring in revenue, re-emphasizing the call by Prime Minister Peter O'Neill to make agriculture a priority. The first 100 days of the Department of Agriculture and Livestock will see the implementation of the coffee berry borer emergency response programs, acquittals, cost-cutting, preparations for tax and business incentive packages for village farmers and block holders, SME, and also a ban on poultry imports.
To implement the coffee berry borer emergency response program, continue with that. And secondly, to undertake audit on all state land under CAO.
Some of the cost-saving measures includes no trips overseas unless paid by external sponsors, no meeting and workshops in hotels, and no renting of office spaces.
No more overseas trips paid by this government. If it's paid by donors or other people from the private sector or overseas, okay, officers will travel. That's including me. We are not going to travel overseas.
The Minister for Agriculture and Livestock also wants to increase the revenue that agriculture and livestock contributes. The Minister plans on scaling up the commodity freight subsidy programs to bring coffee, cocoa, copra and rubber in the remote areas to the markets to export.
The rural areas, remote part of Papua New Guinea, we have so many bags of coffee and copra and cocoa, and we need to get them out. You know, government is talking about raising revenue. Government is talking about raising revenue, so we want to assist our farmers to get them out from those rural areas and export them. So we bring in foreign reserve into our country. So,
while the O'Neill able government has put agriculture a priority in the second Alata Accord, the 2017 supplementary budget that is yet to be released will hopefully also capture the commitment. Adelaide Sirks, Kari National, EMTV News. With the increasing focus on the roles and responsibilities of directors at the board level, there are now plans to introduce legislation that will give legal backing to the existence of Papua New Guinea Institute of Directors. This according to President of PNG-ID Ian Tarutia. Membership of PNG-ID at present is voluntary. However, under the proposed legislation, it will be compulsory for persons wanting to become directors on board to be members of PNG-ID, similar to the current arrangement for other specialized fields of work.
The Papua New Guinea Institute of Directors has announced that moves are underway to introduce legislation to give legal backing to its existence. PNG-ID President Ian Tarutia has said this is one priority area that the organization is working on at present. Given the increasing scrutiny being placed on decisions made by directors of boards of organizations, both in the private and public sector, the proposed legislation to go before Parliament will be similar to other specialized areas of work, such as that for accountants, lawyers and engineers.
Similar to the way our lawyers, they have legislation backing their existence. I think the accountants also have similar legislation, engineers. So we want the same for PNG-ID, so that the reason why we exist, to enhance corporate governance in PNG, can be pushed in a structured and in a systematic manner.
In addition to the proposed legislation, PNG-ID is also working to build capacity for people that may take on director roles in the near future, with PNG-ID partnering with the University of Papua New Guinea on a director pipeline project.
Recognition or acknowledgement that the pool of talent that we have in country to take up a role of directors on, especially SOEs, on regulated entities like superannuation funds and banks, or entities that are regulated by PNG. There is a shortage of good professional directors. So the intent of this pipeline project is to spread the net and increase the pool through a structured process. So what UPNG have done is they've introduced a new postgraduate diploma in corporate governance, I think, which runs for about 18 months.
These projects by the PNGID are all aimed at ensuring that the quality and pool of directors in Papua New Guinea are improved in the coming years. Mr. Tarotia is hopeful that these measures taken by PNGID will enable directors to understand the importance of their roles regardless of their sector.
Two exciting projects, and PNGID, we're pleased to be contributing to the level of increasing the level of governance here in our country.
Meribatulo, National EMTV News.
A family in Medang evicted by NHC earlier this month has called on Medang leaders and concerned authorities to carry out thorough investigations. 40-year-old Jacqueline Jimlaka and her family were evicted on the 10th of August. They are among other families in Medang evicted under suspicious circumstances. Jimlaka is appealing to the Medang MP and the governor to find out why Medang residents have been unfairly treated.
Property that Jacqueline Jimlaka and her sibling have been living in this house at Section 60 Lot 7 in Newtown for 28 years since her parents moved into the property in 1989. Her parents were former public servants. She and her 4 siblings, together with their children and the mother of the house, were still there when they were evicted. They had been trying to get the title of the property since 2008, but to no avail.
It was prolonged. The case was urgent for so many times. Housing Commission, there was no good cooperation between Housing Commission and my mom and dad. Every time they go there, nothing good comes. No good feedback they get from them. And finally, in 2000, there were so many eviction notices that were given to us, but we had to see a lawyer, and lawyer was representing us in the case, and it was for so long, 2008 till 2017, we were moved out of the house.
Jimlaka says they were issued a court order from the district court on the 16th of February this year. The court ordered them to vacate the premises within 21 days. But the family sought legal advice and appealed to the National Court.
And our lawyer appealed to the National Court. And from the district court, the order was given because it was an ex parte, yeah. And from that, our lawyer appealed to the National Court. Also in the National Court, it was an ex parte order that was issued on the 20th of July. And that order wasn't given to us, there was no written order given to us on the 20th. We were told verbally by our lawyer that we have to leave the house. So we didn't leave the house because we wanted something in black and white. We wanted to know, actually what happened in the National Court, and that order was issued.
But on the 10th of August at around 1:30 in the afternoon, an NHC employee went to the family's residence with a National Court order and another person who had bought off the premises. Acting on the court order, NHC employees ordered them to vacate the property. The family said they were told another person had bought off the house in 2016, surprisingly, when it was on tender. This family is one of several other families in Medang who have been evicted from their homes. Also this month, a widow and her siblings and grandchildren were also evicted at their property at Regina Avenue after living there for 25 years. The families are calling on Medang leaders to investigate why this is still happening, despite the Urbanization and Housing Minister John Cowper's directive to stop all evictions and sale of state property around the country. Mata Luis, National EMTV News, Medang.
Police Commissioner Gary Baki is expected to make a statement regarding the alleged rape of a minor in Port Moresby suburb this week and the mutilation of the private parts of several of her alleged attackers. Indications from police media are that Commissioner Baki is waiting for a full briefing on the incident before he can make a statement on it. The incident is reported to have occurred in the suburb of Sabama in the Moresby South Electorate, where 5 men were caught after they raped a 10-year-old girl. 3 of the 5 were reported to have been castrated by the girl's family members. As Papua New Guineans call for tougher action against child rapists and murderers, one non-government organization that's working with victims of gender violence has highlighted the need for reliable data on the rate of violence. Child Fund Papua New Guinea started a phone counseling service in 2015, says while there has been some improvement in the work being done, there needs to be more government input. Child Fund's gender advisor Sally Beadle says there needs to be a more coordinated approach and substantial support given to the issue. Beadle says Child Fund also shares data collected from the calls it gets through the One-Talk Counselling Help Him line, the phone counselling service funded by the New Zealand government that is providing an important link between victims of violence and law enforcement. The number of calls received through the call centre has doubled in the last 12 months from 2,500 to 5,000 in 2017. But this is just a tip of a deeply rooted problem in Papua New Guinea societies.
The key issues that people tend to be calling about, although there's a very wide range of issues, but some of the key issues are domestic violence or family and sexual violence as it's called here in PNG. The third most common concern that's reported is to do with child welfare, child abuse, including child sexual abuse. So we do get a lot of cases reported of issues involving children.
According to Senior Project Officer Wesh Siku, one of the major challenges they face is doing referrals to different support services and trying to reach out to these different service providers without knowing their physical location.
The counsellors would have to actually see the physical location of the different service providers. Within NCD, yes, we do know where the location of different service providers are. But outside from Port Moresby, there are so many service providers where we don't actually know where that physical location is. So directing where the survivors can actually go and get the service is also a situation or a problem that we do face in our centre as well.
Based on their experiences in the last 2 years, One-Talk Counselling Help Him line has proven to be important and well used by men, women and children all over the country. And Child Fund would like to see in the near future the government taking on or committing to at least co-fund this service. Child Fund's work has given a glimpse into the serious problem of gender violence entrenched in urban and rural communities. A week ago, the rape and murder of a 7-year-old Kavian girl, Rose Kimberley, triggered an outpouring of grief and anger. Rose Kimberley's front teeth were broken in the attack and her genitals cut by the rapist. The Catholic Church has also condemned the rape of the 7-year-old girl.
It's sad to see that the society has come to this level that a man could rape and kill a child as old as 7. And it shows how they are immune to these kind of crimes. I call upon the police, if they do their job, if they do in protecting the communities, I'm sure this will be really a good solution. Because they are the ones who are supposed to protect the communities.
There have also been strong reactions from Facebook by users who are also calling for tough action from police and the courts. A prominent member of the New Island community, Janet Seo, said, and I quote, "Little Rose's violated and torn body was laid to rest the day PNG's 10th Parliament sat without a woman's voice. Thousands of girls like her in PNG are at risk of such violence." End of quote. NCD Governor Poes Pakop also aired his sentiment on Facebook saying, and I quote, "We must act and stand up. We must do more. We are all at risk, not just risking our physical safety, but also our sanity if we do not act now. Let us put pressure on police to investigate and arrest this sick person." End quote. Rose Kimberley's father, Stephen Gilnig, called on the Prime Minister Peter O'Neill to enforce the death penalty. He also wants tougher penalties on drug offenders. National EMTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Robin Bazinu, the Deputy Administrator and Manager for Social Sector in the Morobe Provincial Government, has responded to concerns raised by students regarding delayed payment of scholarship fees. Bazinu said financial constraints have caused the administration to prioritize certain institutions. However, consideration for all schools are being made. Morobe Provincial Deputy Administrator Social Sector Robin Bazinu responded to student concerns raised over delayed scholarship fees. He stated that the delays are due to financial constraints currently faced and the transition in the provincial government.
Fee variations, one institutions, and give me a problem. At the same time, also, I come where when I'm transition government.
Speaking to the media, he acknowledged the issues that are being faced with administering the scholarship.
It is a noble problem, but it has bigger challenges in order to sustain this program.
Yesterday, members of the Morobe Students' Union, sponsored under the provincial government scholarship, met at the provincial headquarters. They have been told to pay up the outstanding scholarship fees or move out. Bazinu said today that the constraints have now caused the administration to prioritize certain institutions.
Teachers colleges, Koroka University and nursing colleges now helping all past them.
And consideration is now being made for students studying in various schools.
First batch, you may rousing me go, now you may look law, advising government law. Second batch, I'm not institutions.
Bazinu is urging all parents, however, to not rely entirely on the government scholarship.
Development issue is a cooperated issue. It's all of us issue. How best? It's not one side taking from another side.
Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News, Leh. An audit of the City Council office in Leh will be carried out by officers from the provincial and local level government office in Port Moresby. Leh MP John Rosso told EMTV News the city authority has not been operating efficiently and needs urgent assistance. Leh City Manager Roy Kamen, who agreed to stand aside, received a suspension notice from the Office of the Provincial Administration yesterday.
The members of the general public and some business houses have raised concerns over the management of the Leh City Council office. This was brought to the attention of the member for Leh, John Rosso, who consulted the Leh City Manager and the acting provincial administrator for Morobe. City Manager Roy Kamen agreed to step aside while an audit is conducted into the City Council's accounts.
Because of all the allegations and all the finger pointing, it also enables that the city manager has a chance to clear his name and answer any allegations leveled against him. So it's good for him and good for the city. So we can move forward with providing basic municipal services to the people of Leh.
There's nothing wrong with Audit coming in. I want Audit to come in so that they clear the air and make sure that things are right. It's their job. They come in and they check our books and they make recommendations as to what will happen or what should be done to correct what went wrong. And this or something, and walk audit, I'll come, I'll check him. So, a wrong audit, they come inside.
But yesterday at 4 p.m., the city manager received a suspension notice from the Provincial Administration Office. Kamen said he agreed to step aside to allow the audit to proceed and not to be suspended from office.
I have not been asked to step aside. I have been issued a suspension notice, which is breach of public service protocol. I'm a contract officer. I am protected by the public service general orders. And I cannot just stand and watch people come and move me around like this. I am protected by the public service general orders. So
Kamen has responded to the suspension notice. He says he has not cited the allegations made against him and as such has not been given an opportunity to respond to them. The Leh City Manager also called on the Office of the Morobe Provincial Administration to clarify his suspension.
I have responded to the suspension notice, and I have told them to verify certain things which they haven't followed in the Public Service General Order, so they have to verify those things before I step aside. Otherwise, I will not step aside until I am proven guilty.
Julie Badui Owa, National EMTV News, Lae.
The PNG Media Council elected its new executives today in Port Moresby. The council will now be led by EMTV's Neville Choi as president. NBC's Lisa Pagelio is vice president and PNG TV's Belinda Cora is secretary. Speaking as president, Mr. Choi commended the previous executive for their efforts and said a lot more work will have to be done, especially with the upcoming APEC Leaders Summit in 2018. He said the media in PNG is one of the freest in the Pacific region and should remain that way. Going forward, the council will look into the protection of journalists and ensuring the public understands the important role of the media. Newcrest and the Australian High Commission today signed a memorandum of understanding to work together to support a range of development projects in Papua New Guinea. The MOU now provides a framework on how to support the development of the public sector. In its initial phase, this will see support for the training of public servants in the fields of health as well as in the extractive resource sector. Newcrest CEO Sunday Biswas was in the country to witness this occasion.
Newcrest Mining is one of the world's largest gold mining companies with operations in 4 countries. In PNG, Newcrest is currently the operator of Lihir Mine in New Ireland. This operation, a key component of the company's overall portfolio. It also has a 50% stake in the Wafi Golpu project in Morbe province, which has been touted as one of the next big projects in the country. Given the important role that its PNG operations play in its overall business, the company has now embarked on supporting the development of the public service in key areas.
Newcrest is committed to try and support health within PNG, with a particular focus on women and children. So that's really the motivation behind us partnering with the Australian Aid Program. With the capacity building activity, it's really to try and assist the government to build capacity so that it better understands the issues within the industry.
Under this MOU, Newcrest will be working together with the Australian High Commission to develop the capacity of the public service, initially in the areas of health and the extractive industry.
It's great to be able to join with Newcrest in some of the work around mineral economics and the like, and to be able to do that in part by drawing on the expertise, the facilities, and the approaches that we now are able to draw on through the Pacific Leadership and Governance Precinct.
Today's occasion given extra prominence with Newcrest CEO Sunday Biswas flying into the country to witness this important signing.
Our contribution doesn't just revolve around mine sites, right? So we also see ourselves as a contributor broader to that. So we've collaborated with a range of partners. I'm very pleased to see us partnering with the Australian government on this particular venture, but we also look at other partnerships that we have undertaken in terms of protecting and empowering women, which is very important to us, supporting education and also supporting community health initiatives.
Merabatulo, National EMTV News.
And now looking at our finance news, the kina closed unchanged in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.306 US dollars, $0.3829 Australian dollars, $0.2533 euro, and 33.38 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold, coffee, cocoa, and copra closed lower. Palm oil and crude oil closed lower, while copper closed the day unchanged. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 27.06 points higher, the ASX closed at 40.08 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 37.46 points higher. When we come back, stories making headlines overseas. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas, more missile launches are on the agenda for North Korea as it warns this week's launch over Japan was just the first step. State media in the reclusive country also reported threats to the U.S. Pacific island of Guam.
These are the first pictures of North Korea's latest and most provocative missile launch. As expected, Kim Jong-un was on hand to give his personal guidance. The North Korean dictator gazes skywards as the missile flies towards Japan. And along with the pictures came this statement from North Korea's state media. The current ballistic rocket drill is the first step of the military operation in the Pacific and a meaningful prelude to containing Guam. From President Trump came this tweet, ruling out any prospect of talks. The US has been talking to North Korea and paying them extortion money for 25 years, he exclaimed. Talking is not the answer. Here in Japan, Prime Minister Theresa May said China must now do something. In Beijing, China's Foreign Ministry spokeswoman had this rather caustic response.
Some countries dash forward when it comes to imposing sanctions, but hide away when it comes to asking for peace talks. This is not the attitude of a responsible nation.
There is growing suspicion that North Korea could not have developed this new missile so fast by itself. There is also agreement that it must be stopped, but there is none on how to do it. China wants talks, the US, Britain and Japan more sanctions. Meanwhile, North Korea is almost certainly preparing for its next test.
Hurricane Harvey is now causing major havoc in Louisiana after making landfall for a third time. Widespread flooding is forcing evacuations, with the storm claiming at least 19 lives and forcing 32,000 residents into shelters throughout the state.
Is what Hurricane Harvey did to Houston. Believe it or not, the water has gone down, and still swathes of the city look like this. Lives have been lost, homes have been ruined, and people are still trapped. From the air, we spotted this couple, desperate for help.
Well, what's happening now is that we've seen these people in the water down below. They're clearly in need of help. There's a boat just a few blocks away, but it can't get to them, it can't see them. So we're going to use the helicopter to try to guide them in.
Slowly, carefully, we help them find one another. A helicopter directing a boat along a leafy street, suburban America turned upside down. They made it. Just seconds later, we spotted this, fire and flood, and no way in for the firefighters. This was a 5-minute slice of the drama which has been unfolding in the skies over Houston for days. And not just Houston. This is Port Arthur in neighbouring Louisiana, where Harvey has hit again. The hurricane may have been downgraded to a tropical storm, but it still packs a powerful punch. With 40 inches of rain here, they're taking what they can as they help their children escape. Back in downtown Houston, still dazed, but at least they're dry. The people of this city do now have a chance to take stock, and they know there are struggles ahead. And here, people formed a chain to help an elderly man who was trapped in his car. The human touch that has brought people together, plain to see. As it moves across the southern United States, the wake of this storm is widening, and so is the damage. The bleak legacy of Hurricane Harvey will be felt for years to come.
Tributes are being paid to Princess Diana 2 decades after her death in a Paris car crash. Princes William and Harry led the memorials. Moving on, Trukai Sports is next, and Hunters keep rolling on with Ase Boas and Coach Michael Marm scooping awards in Queensland. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. The Hunters won big at the QRL Awards night after captain Ase Boas won the Best Player of the Season and Michael Marum Coach of the Year. Ase Boas made history in the Interest Super Cup after being the first Papua New Guinean to win the Korea Male Award.
Boas narrowly edged out Redcliffe Dolphins' Matt Lodge by 1 point to win the award. He also became the 4th successive Hunters player to win the People's Choice Award, following Willie Minoga, Wartovo Puara and Justin Olam. Boas led the Hunters to their first ever Interest Super Cup minor premiership this year. Meanwhile, Hunters mentor Michael Marum won the Coach of the Year going for the second time, having first been recognized in 2015. PNG Kumul's and former Hunters winger Justin Olam was also named in the Interest Super Cup Team of the Year for his performances with the Sunshine Coast Falcons. The Hunters have the bye for the opening round of finals matches before hosting the Redcliffe Dolphins in the major semi-final next weekend. Elijah Levet, National, EMTV Sports.
The Prime Minister and Minister for Sports Peter O'Neill has congratulated Hunters captain Ase Boas on being named the best and fairest player in the Interest Super Cup competition. PM O'Neill says the award was a historic one as it was the first time a Papua New Guinean player had won the most coveted honour in the Queensland Rugby League's Interest Super Cup competition. To boxing, promotion and preparation for the September 10th boxing event is right on course for PNG Professional Boxing Association. The contender for the event's main bout, Nelson Sampson, secured his betting fee of 2,000 kina today, courtesy of Century 21 Real Estate and renowned lawyer Greg Shepherd.
After months of appealing and seeking sponsorship from corporate houses, Nelson Sampson can now breathe a sigh of relief after real estate company Century 21 and the Shepherds boosted the fighter's profile in cash.
On behalf of Shepherd, the music group, and Century 21, we have the fee for you to register this Boxer Nelson. So I'll hand that to you now. Thank you for organising this.
Sampson will fight on September 10 boxing event's main bout against pro boxer Elias Basa in the 75 kg division. Co-sponsor Greg Shepherd, on behalf of the Shepherd's band, said Sampson has a huge potential in boxing and are happy to support his fight.
Very supportive of the sporting aspect to all of this, and they've got great hopes for Nelson, as we all have. In fact, my son suggested that with a name like Nelson Sampson, he should be contacting Floyd Mayweather immediately and warning him that he might be at number 50, but if he boxes this guy, he will not be 51.
Sampson, who enjoyed a fair bit of success in his kickboxing career, now has his eyes set on his bout with Basa and made his intentions known.
But fighting in boxing is not my first time. I've been fighting with so many talented heavyweight fighters of boxing in Papua New Guinea. So fighting in a professional fight with Elias Eleb of Arab, I believe in faith in myself that I'll knock him down. You must come and support me and bet for me.
Meanwhile, pro boxing president Elwin Wafewa acknowledged the support of business houses and challenges the government to build a proper combat sports arena in the country.
Form the government and run the government, build our gymnasium and a fighting arena. We need a fighting arena in PNG, and we can have a permanent fighting arena where we can get big fighters in. We are starting off, so by next year we should have a permanent arena, and we don't need to rent arenas around.
The event's medals and trophies were sponsored by Trophy House.
To present the trophies as part of our sponsorship for this PNG professional boxing, and we keep on supporting them because this is good for everyone.
The tournament will feature 10 fighters facing off for the ultimate honor of topping the ranks in their respective divisions. Shane Saroya, National, EMTV Sports.
Chukai Sports continues after the break. Stay with us.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. Tonga's withdrawal from hosting the 2019 Pacific Games has left the door open for other countries to bid. That's from Ryan Pinney speaking at the athletes' representative on the Pacific Games Council. He said while discussion is ongoing, Guam has put up its hand to host the Games.
Athletes representative Ryan Pinney described that Tonga's withdrawal as an option for other island countries to raise their hands up to host one of the biggest games in the region.
I sit on the Pacific Games Council Executive Board as a PNG, as the athlete representative. So my role is to ensure that the athletes' voices are heard, and I get the information from the Executive Board and produce it back to the athletes. So everyone sort of understands what the flow is.
With just under 2 years to the 2019 Pacific Games, Tonga's withdrawal from the Games has allowed the Pacific Games Council to put the event on tender while encouraging other Pacific Island countries to put forward their proposals.
Tonga pulling out gave way for an option for other countries to jump in and host the 2019 Pacific Games. So that's been a process over the last couple of months, and the whole idea is to get that next country who wants to put the bid forward in as fast as they can, because there's only 2 years to go, under 2 years to go until that time comes.
He says his duty on the Pacific Games Council is to make sure that athletes are well informed.
At the moment, Samoa and Guam have put their interest forward, and basically we'll make a decision over that over the next couple of days as to who put the better bid proposed forward. And for me, that will be looking at what sports are involved to make sure they align best with Tonga and what they had, because athletes have already been training in preparation for it. So we don't want athletes to miss out on events that they might not be having anymore. So that's going to be important for me, and we'll be hopefully getting together in the next few days to make that decision.
Meanwhile, athletes and sporting associations in the country are currently in preparations for the Mini Pacific Games in Vanuatu in December and the 2019 Pacific Games. Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
To cricket, after a one-sided contest last Sunday, the Hebel PNG Barramundis managed to settle for a tie against the Australian Indigenous team in Brisbane yesterday. Just like the previous match, the Australian Indigenous team batted first and posted a competitive 5 for 278 off their allotted 50 overs. The Barramundis' chase seemed to be buried at 7 for 217 in the 42nd over, but then some outstanding batting from Jack Vare gave the Barramundis hope before an unbeaten 19 runs from Sopa, batting at number 9, managed to level the total with the Australian Indigenous total of 278. The Hebel PNG Barramundis have a day off today before taking on the Cricket Australia's national performance squad tomorrow. And that ends Trukai Sports. The weather details up next.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Weather forecast for tonight in the southern region: cloudy with rain showers in Port Moresby, Daru and Kerema, and rain showers occurring, then cloudy and windy periods in Alotau and Popondetta. In the Momase region, rain showers occurring, then cloudy in Lae and Vanimo, partly cloudy with some showers in Medang and Wewak. In the New Guinea Islands region, partly cloudy with some showers in Lorengau, Kavieng and Kimbe, mostly fine although partly cloudy in Kokopo and Rabaul and Buka included. And in the Highlands region, rain showers, then cloudy in all centres. Shipping forecast: strong wind warning current for small ships for tonight and tomorrow. Strong wind warning current for all coastal waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru, to Kiwai Island to Yule Island to Hood Point, including all Milne Bay Islands, and from Cape Vogel to Finschhafen to Vitia Strait to Sea to Long Islands and West New Britain. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Island. Waters of Kiwai Island to Kerema to Yule Island to Hood Point to Samarai Island. Waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands. Waters of Finschhafen through Vitia Strait. Dampier Strait including Siasi Islands to Long Island. Waters of West New Britain seas of 2 to 2.5 meters. Waters of Samarai Island to Cape Vogel to Finschhafen, seas of 1.5 to 2 meters. Waters of Long Island to Medang to Bogia to Iwak, Aitape to Vanimo and northern PNG Indonesian border, and waters of Manus and its western group of islands, seas of 0.8 to 1.6 meters. Waters of East New Britain to New Ireland and to Bougainville, seas of 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Ocean forecast for PNG areas for tonight and tomorrow in the Coral Sea. Seas rough with southeast winds at 25 to 34 knots. Solomon Sea, seas moderate with southeast winds at 15 to 25 knots. In the Bismarck Sea, seas rough with southeast winds at 25 to 34 knots. And in the Pacific Ocean, seas slight with northeast winds at 10 to 15 knots.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
And before we go, tributes are being paid to Princess Diana 2 decades after her death in a Paris car crash. Princes William and Harry led the memorials.
The flowers and the tributes are back at the gates of Kensington Palace, a very small echo of how it was 20 years ago, but a reminder of feelings which the years have not erased. And this afternoon, William and Harry came to view the tributes. They took their time, they looked, and they read. And they laughed at some of the photographs showing them as small children with their mother. It was impossible not to be reminded of how it was 20 years ago, when, aged 15 and 12, on their return to London, they'd come out, still numb and bewildered, to meet the people who'd gathered there and to see for themselves the many thousands of bouquets which had been left. Diana's boys are both in their 30s now. William settled and about to begin full-time royal duty. He was accompanied by Catherine this afternoon to view a memorial garden to Diana. And Harry, not quite so settled yet, but not far off, one suspects. And both at this anniversary, one must assume, reassured by the enduring regard people feel for their mother. William and Harry took some of the flowers people had brought and placed them at the palace gates, replaying some of the moments from 2 decades ago and acknowledging the desire that many still have to hold on to Diana's memory.
And that's the way it is this Thursday, 31st of August 2017. From the entire news team, pleasant viewing. Good night.